Dave, but actually, I've always thought of myself as a 3-4 hole hitter, but I guess I'm down to leadoff now. I know I'm not that fast, but hopefully I can paint a picture for you, for everyone, about this first inductee and what she means to me, my family, and all of her friends that are in attendance. Mr. Yanko, I want to reiterate what Murray State means to me also. If not for Murray State, I'm not sure where I'd be. I may be a dirt farmer like I am today. But it has led me down a path that has been wonderful, has helped myself and my wife raise a wonderful family and be associated with their friends. And for that, Murray State, I thank you. First thing I want to do is paint a little story about Melissa as I've known her from the time my son met her here. He played baseball for me and told me that he was dating a tennis player, and I said, okay. Had no idea this would turn out this way, and so glad it did. But Melissa, it is an honor for me to stand up here and introduce you to this crowd of distinguished recipients of Hall of Fame, of also Murray State athletic personnel that's here. There's not, as far as I'm concerned, there's not a better place on earth than Murray State University. Two things, once you get to be my age, when I coach baseball here, you actually played on grass and dirt. I think they're about to change that now. And the other thing, you need cheat sheet and some of these. So, I had a joke that I used to tell when I spoke at some of these, and I don't think it's politically correct to say that anymore, so I'm going to mark that off my list here. Melissa asked me two things, not to embarrass her, and try to be politically correct as you can in your age. So I'm going to do that. I just marked off that joke, and when I sent her this list, it was on there, and she kind of gave me the eye, so I'm marking that off. Melissa's about to become a member of the Murray State Hall of Fame, but let me tell you, she has been a member of the Ticky Family Hall of Fame for a long time. Her and John David are doing a fabulous job of raising two of our grandkids, Spencer and Madison. Would you please stand, those two? This is what comes when you go to Murray State. Thank you guys, thank you. So proud of you. And they're doing a fantastic job of that. And the other person I want to thank is my wife, Susie. I was a baseball coach for half of our married career, which is approaching 50 years, 25 years. And because of that, she held the task of raising our two kids, John David Ticky and Taylor Ticky. Would you guys please stand? Thank you, guys. And because I'm a family guy first, and have always been and will always be, I want to recognize Taylor and Amanda. This weekend is their 10th wedding anniversary. And they are the proud parents of Clayton and Colin Ticky. Would you two please stand? Taylor and Amanda are still young enough, and Susie and I are still hoping for a couple more, but whatever happens, happens, so we'll see. From the start, when John David and Melissa first started dating, it was obvious that she was going to become a member of our family. As a matter of fact, as they were dating, John David played baseball for me, and the tennis team had won the regular season OVC and was heading to Nashville to attend the NCAA tournament. Well, John David felt like he had to be at the send-off, and he was. And because he went to that, he arrived at baseball practice that day on time. And because he was the son of the baseball coach, on time wasn't good enough, and so he started running foul poles. And about halfway through practice, my assistant Bart Osborne said, "Coach, John David's still running foul poles." I go, "Well, send somebody out there and tell him he can quit." So being the son of the head coach was harder than just being a regular player. Now to Melissa. Melissa's name is Melissa, but she's also known as Mo and Mo Money. Mo Money because you don't want to challenge her in any game that she feels like she's going to win, because she is a tenacious competitor, with a miraculous fighting spirit, and she will take your money. The only thing I've been able to beat Melissa in is poker, and through the years, I've realized she has a tell, and I am not going to give that away tonight, Melissa. Sorry, I'm still wanting to win back some of the money you've won from me. So, next thing I want to do is thank all of her friends and teammates that are here tonight to welcome Melissa into the Murray State Hall of Fame. From Georgia, from South Carolina, and all over. She's brought friends. Her and John David, wherever they land, they develop friends that they keep for a lifetime. And for that, thank you guys for attending this for Melissa. Next, I have learned that Melissa was introduced to tennis by her father, Lee Spencer. Mr. Spencer, would you please stand? So, Lee had one rule that he was going to teach Melissa how to play tennis, but he was not going to let her beat him until she could, and then she finally did. Lee, you did a great job of teaching her right from the start. Thank you. From the start of Melissa's tennis career by her father to this night of her Hall of Fame induction at Murray State, and it has been a long and very hard road for Melissa, to say the least. None of that could have been possible if it wasn't for her coach, Coach Connie Kiesling. Would you please stand? And I've already asked those people that I told them I was going to do that. So the way I understood it was that Connie said, "I think this gal," oh, Melissa, is that politically correct to say that? But I think this gal can turn Murray State into an OBC powerhouse, and she did. Melissa, you set the bar very high for tennis players at Murray State. Thank you for that. The other thing I want to describe to Melissa and tell you about her fighting spirit and her is that along her journey in tennis and along through life, she's lost too many family members and friends. Melissa lost 3 brothers, and that's Andy, Pete, and Paul. But she carried on, and because of that, Susie and I saw just what kind of character she had about continuing on with life and continuing on with her family. Melissa, thank you for that. Melissa, when she finished tennis here, she continued to play competitive tennis in Atlanta, in the Atlanta Lawn Tennis Association. And to be honest, I think Melissa has won enough winning plates to probably provide plates for this entire crowd tonight. So, but she has stacks of them. It's unbelievable. And Melissa played next to and across the net from outstanding players from the SEC and the ACC, and she still won. So that's the kind of competitor she has been. So let's see. The other thing, a couple of things I want to finish up with. One is that in my long coaching career, every athlete that I've ever had the want to win. But only a few athletes have the will, the determination, and the fortitude to win, while at the same time lifting their teammates up. And Melissa has done that wherever she has played. Because Melissa possessed all of these traits, she can only be called a winner. So in closing, I would like to offer a special tribute that I'm borrowing from a great mentor of mine here at Murray State, Coach Johnny Reagan. Melissa, a tip of the Murray State cap to you to be such a deserving next member of the Murray State Hall of Fame, Melissa Spencer Tickey.
Thank you, Mike, for that warm and thoughtful introduction. I appreciate it. Wow, look at this room. It's a different perspective up here. There is so much love and support in this room from our family and friends. And I just want to thank all of you for being here. This truly is just an amazing evening. I want to congratulate all my fellow racers who are being inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight. It is truly an honor to be standing up here next to you. I want to thank Dave Winder and the Hall of Fame committee for making this evening possible. This is just an amazing night that I know personally I'm going to cherish and remember forever. So thank you so much for this evening. Today is not about honoring me, though. It is about honoring all of you, because none of us would be here without the people who support us and push us and encourage us along the way. So I would like to just take a few minutes and share with you a little bit about those people in my life and a little bit about my experience here at Murray State as a student athlete. To be perfectly honest, my dream was not to play tennis at Murray State. I grew up playing tennis in the Atlanta area, and in the Southeast, all you hear about is the SEC and the ACC. So that's all I knew. I wanted to play tennis at an SEC school. So how did I end up at Murray State from Atlanta, Georgia? Well, it all started my junior year in high school, which most of you know is your most important recruiting year as an athlete. And my tennis game began to crumble. I had a lot going on in my personal life, and the pressure of college recruiting got to me. I would walk into tournaments being the top seed, having the best draws, and I was struggling to win a match. I would come home crying and feeling so disappointed that I had let down everybody who invested the time and the money and the energy in my tennis career. And I felt like at the rate I was going, there was no way I was going to play college tennis. That's when Coach Connie Kiesling entered my world. I remember coming home from one of my not-so-great weekends of tennis, and in the mail was a handwritten note. The letter read, "Don't give up, you're doing great. Sometimes a coach can tell more about a player when they're losing than when they're winning. I would love for you to consider Murray State." This was not typical. Most letters I received from colleges were typed and had no personal touch whatsoever. Coach Connie didn't just send me one handwritten note. She sent me several. And the fact that a college coach was taking that much personal interest in me, I had to go see what the school and the program was all about. So I agreed to come on an official visit to Murray State. I flew into Nashville. Coach picked me up in her red Honda Civic, and we headed on our 2-hour journey to Murray. On this trip, 2 things stood out to me. One, there are a lot of cornfields and cow pastures and flat land that I was not used to coming from Atlanta. But the second, and the most important, was the immediate connection I had with Coach Connie. It was like I had known her for years. She made me feel so welcome. We laughed and we joked, and the time just flew by. Then, when I arrived at campus, I was so impressed with how clean and beautiful everything was. Everyone was so friendly, and I immediately connected with the tennis team. They all made the weekend so special that I didn't want to leave. And in fact, I came back a few weeks later to show off Murray State to some of my high school friends, some of who are sitting here today. When I made it back home, the decision was easy. I signed early and chose Murray State as where I would play college tennis. I had an amazing experience playing tennis at Murray State. When I came in as a freshman, I remember Coach looking at me right before our first fall tournament and said, "Melissa, you're gonna play line one." I honestly thought she was crazy. I was the only freshman on the team at the time. I didn't understand why she was putting me there. But of course, she knew exactly what she was doing. Coming in as a freshman, no one knows you. There's no scouting reports, and there's this element of surprise that took our competition off guard. My doubles partner was a transfer from Tulsa that year, Carrie Lee Glass. She was the perfect doubles partner for me. Our games complemented each other so well. She was a hard hitter and had a huge serve, and I was a scrappy, keep the ball in play type of player. It was very hard to get a rhythm against us, and the other girls, Annette Steen, Cheryl Graham, Maria Alante, Gina Katona, Erica Heschelman, were so strong at the other lines that we ended up coming together and winning the OVC championship, which hadn't been done since 1987, 13 years prior. My sophomore year, as most sophomores do, I went through the sophomore slump. Coach had warned me that this would happen, but I didn't believe her. Well, sure enough, it happened to me. Coming off the high from my freshman year, my sophomore year was very different. The element of surprise was no longer there. The competition was out to get the number one team, and I started experiencing injuries. Luckily, we had two strong freshmen, Jennifer Ward and Jacqueline Leeper, join the team, which provided additional depth to our lineup. It was definitely my most challenging year, but I learned a lot about how to persevere and teamwork, because in the end, the team rallied around each other, and we ended up winning the OVC back to back. Then came my junior year. My doubles partner, Carrie Lee, graduated, which was hard, but we gained another great athlete who brought so much positive energy to the team, Tammy McQueen, to complete our lineup. Jacqueline Leeper stepped up to be my doubles partner, and we also had some great success on the court together. I got to move into an apartment with my best friend and teammate, Annette Steen, which was definitely a highlight of my time at Murray State. Most importantly, though, this was the year that I met my now husband, John David Tickey, and we began to date. Meeting him and his amazing family changed my life, and it definitely had a positive impact on my tennis performance. Now I had more purpose in life than just tennis, and I started to see the bigger picture. As a result, I didn't put as much pressure on myself on the tennis court, and I just relied on my talent and my experience. Again, we had a really strong team, and even though we were considered the underdogs, we only had 6 players, which is the minimum amount of players you can have on a team. We were seeded number 3 going into the tournament. They even left us off the OVC tournament t-shirts. I'm still a little bitter about that. The list goes on, though. This team fought hard, and we ended up three-peating to win the OVC for the 3rd consecutive year. That year, Coach got recognized as Coach of the Year, and I got to share that honor with her as OVC Player of the Year. But the team winning and overcoming adversity the way that we did was the most rewarding part of the whole thing. Finally, my senior year came, and we had 4 freshmen come on the team: Anna Lask, Rachel Lask, Christina Hall, and Cassidy Pruitt. Normally, when you have more than half your team consist of freshmen, you would call it a development or a growing year. Not this team. These freshmen were fierce and very, very talented. They pushed me to another level and gave me the drive I needed to finish out my college career strong. We ended up finishing the regular season undefeated, seeded number 1 going into the OVC tournament. our strongest finish in all my 4 years. But this was uncharted territory. Every other year, we had to fight tooth and nail to prove ourselves. But this year, we had already proven we were the best, and we were in a position to defend our title without being the underdog. Unfortunately, the tournament didn't go how we had hoped, and we finished third. This was a tough pill to swallow at first, but I learned a lot from that season that sticks with me today. I try to live in the moment and not take things for granted. That year was special for so many reasons, and just because we didn't win the tournament didn't make the journey any less significant than my other 3 years. My senior year taught me to recognize these moments in life, appreciate them for what they are, and to fight like hell to be the best that you can be each and every day. So in closing, I would like to thank everyone that is here today supporting me. We all live crazy, busy lives, and each one of you sacrificed something to be here. And I just want you to know that I am so thankful and honored and appreciate it so much that you're here tonight. Thank you. I want to thank my dad for introducing me to the sport of tennis and never letting me beat him without earning it. My junior tennis coaches, Jerry Baskin and Jeff Mason, for never giving up on me when they easily could have. My coach at Murray State, Connie Kiesling, for believing in me from day one and for giving me the best college experience I could ever imagine. Mike, Susie, and Taylor Tickey, who were my second family while at school and are now the best in-laws, grandparents, and uncle to our 2 children. My mom and stepdad, who were my biggest supporters and cheerleaders that are now smiling down on me from heaven. And last, but certainly not least, my loving husband, J.D. Tickey, who was by my side throughout college and has loved me unconditionally since the day that we met. I am the luckiest girl to have found a man that is so loving, loyal, hardworking, and the best father and role model to our 2 children, Madison and Spencer. Madison and Spencer, I love you both very much, and I'm excited to share this moment with you. Keep working hard, and good things will happen. And finally, I want to thank God for allowing me to trust His plan, because He clearly knew what He was doing when He led me to Murray State. Go Racers.